What is up, everybody? J Nell here with my UFC Fight Night San Antonio recap and my Manny Paquiao versus Keith Thurman recap. And if you're wondering, well, where are the predictions, J Nell? Again, I always tell you, you have to follow me on all social media platforms. I did this on Twitter and Instagram about an hour before the events plural started. I made 7 picks and I got 5 out of 7. So pretty good night for me. All right, so you got to catch me. Got to follow me everywhere. Now let's get into it. This is a great night. Great night of fights. The UFC San Antonio definitely delivered, so if you didn't see it, please look it up and watch it because it was a great night of fights. Let's get into it. There were 6 fights on the main card. So I made, out of the 6 predictions, I got 4 out of 6. So again, good night for me all the way around. Let's go ahead and get into this. First up, I got this pick. They started off with the big boys. There were 3 heavyweight fights on this card, and all 3 heavyweight fights delivered. Anyway, so they started off with the big boys. I picked Andre Arlovski to beat Ben Rothwell. He did. This is a 3-round, I believe it was a unanimous decision, but please correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Andre broke his 4-fight losing streak on this one, and this was a great fight to start this card. These big boys went at it. The first round, Andre completely won. He was first, seemed like he was able to gauge distance faster. He was able to read his opponent quicker. He just seemed to have better angles. He busted Ben Rothwell up in the first round, but Ben Rothwell kept going. He can take a punch. And at the end of the second and especially the third round, he put together some flurries, maybe even won the second round. So I actually think it was a split decision. Again, someone correct me if I'm wrong on that one. This was a great back and forth fight with the big boys. 3 rounds, decision in favor of Andre Arlovski. So who do you think he should fight next? You know, with the big boys, they can fight till they're like 50. They put together a couple of wins and they can bark for a title shot. So now moving on. Who would you like to see Arlovski fight next? Moving on, I got this pick. I chose Alexander Hernandez to beat Francisco Trinaldo. This went all 3 rounds, and I actually don't think I should have won this pick. I think Francisco, well, they're both counter punchers, so there was some booing during this match. There was a lot of hesitance, a lot of gauging of distance, but not engaging because they're both kind of waiting for the other one to throw a punch. You have to throw feints, you have to have weird body movements, you have to do something to make your opponent fight, and neither one of them really did that. I thought that Francisco probably pressed the pace a little bit more, but again, he did not win this fight. Alexander is a Texas boy, so it might have been a little home cooking here, so you let me know what you thought. Should Francisco, should he have won this fight? Should have been a draw? Do you agree with Alexander? And if so, who do you think he should fight next? Now, next up, I lost this pick, and boy, did I lose this pick. I chose James Vick to beat Dan Hooker. He did not. This ended in the first round, something like maybe a minute or so. They're feeling each other out. They're actually going back and forth, both landing shots. The momentum's going back and forth until Dan Hooker caught him with the left that dropped him, followed him up, and I believe 2 more shots that knocked him all the way out. Sleep, head bounced off the ground. Sleep. Great win for Dan Hooker. In the super packed lightweight division, I think he was already ranked number 15, so he's going to be moving up from this. Who do you think Dan Hooker should fight next? Next up, I got this pick, another big boy. I picked Greg Hardy to beat Juan Adams, and he did, and I was nervous about this pick. Juan to me is a little bit more well-rounded, and I thought they might be a little bit emotional, but it looks like Juan was a little bit too emotional. This ended in the first round, about 35 seconds. They're feeling each other out. Juan actually clocked him with a jab, with a couple of jabs. They clocked each other actually with some straights. They was hitting each other, and then Juan threw a jab that connected. He went underneath that and then tried to take him down with a single leg. He landed on his side, though. He probably should have abandoned it and tried something else, but he didn't. He held on to the single leg as Greg Hardy proceeded to just smack, 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 smack. We're talking 30 to 31 unanswered blows here. And I believe in the beginning he knocked him out and knocked him back into consciousness. Either way, the ref was right there. He talking about, move, you got to do something, work. He was talking to him the whole time. We saw no motion to try to improve his position from Juan. The ref stopped the fight. This was a great stoppage from the ref because you have to move. You cannot take 30 to 31 unanswered blows from Greg freaking Hardy. Okay? So this was a good stoppage from the ref. He protested. Not only did he protest, Juan acted like a big old baby. He didn't even stay there for the announcement. He took his mouthpiece out, threw it, then he literally stomped off it. He jumped off the stairs outside of the octagon, then he stomped off. He's like, get me the fuck out of here. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to swear. I don't know. I'm so sorry. Get me the F out, like a big old baby. It was kind of embarrassing. Okay, take your loss like a man. Anyway, great win for Greg Hardy. I believe he's well, no, he had that DQ loss, but he's doing great in the heavyweight division. It looks like he might be a real prospect. So who do you think should be next for Greg Hardy? Now, next up, another big boy fight. I got this pick as well. I chose Walt Harris to beat Alexei Oleinik, and he did. And I was kind of nervous about this pick too, because Alexei's got some skills. He's well-rounded, but Walt beat him in 11 seconds. In the first round, they engaged a little bit. Then Walt actually went for a knee. The knee didn't land to the face. It kind of landed to the chest, armpit area, and it pushed Alexei back. It kind of got him off balance to where he was kind of sideways. And Walt just threw a left, bink, and it clear flush to the face. Dropped him on the ground. A couple of shots later, ref stopped the fight. Good stoppage. Great 11-second victory for Walt Harris, who is, I think he's like on a 3 or 4 fight win streak right now. Again, we've got some heavyweight contenders that looks like they're gonna have to fight each other, so we can see who's next. So again, who would you like to see next for Walt Harris? Whew. Now we are finally on to the main event, and I lost this pick. My bad. I chose RDA, Rafael dos Anjos, to beat Leon Edwards, and boy, was I wrong. I was wrong in my analysis. Look, Mr. Edwards, I apologize. I'm going to have to go back and look at you again because I've just underestimated you. This is actually the first time I've picked against him, so I don't pick against him often. But my evaluation of you was wrong. You're stronger than I thought. You're even bigger than I thought. You're more powerful. I said that RDA would have the advantage in the grappling. He did not. It was Leon. This was a 5-round decision, all in favor of Leon. He busted RDA up, and he actually wrestled him first, took him down first, and RDA couldn't get up. He was able to muscle RDA in space. He had that advantage in space like I did, but Rafael actually did his best work while they were standing. He was able to land some shots. He had his moments. This wasn't just a full domination, but this was a very clear victory in favor of Leon Edwards. Standing up, he drew blood. He was able to clock him and take advantage of the reach advantage that he had. This was a very well-rounded victory for Leon Edwards. He looked great. And I believe Rafael took apart that lead leg in the beginning, so he's having some knee issues there. So someone let me know if he is injured in any way. But either way, he looked great. So my bad, Mr. Edwards. This is a great win for you against a ranked opponent. Who would you like to see Leon Edwards fight next? Again, let me know if he's injured. He called out, of course, Jorge Masvidal. What do they call him? It's not Cuban. It's Latin Jesus. I think we're calling him Latin Jesus. He called out Jesus. Jesus. So that would be interesting. There's that backstory there with them getting into it already, but who would you like to see Leon Edwards fight next? Now, let's get into the World Championship fight, and I got this pick, and still WBA and the new WBA welterweight champion, Mr. Manny Paquiao, because he beat Keith Thurman. This was for Keith Thurman's belt. Keith Thurman was undefeated, and no longer he took his own. So he's the new WBA welterweight champion. This went all 12 rounds. I agree with the decision. It was a split decision, though, in favor of Manny Paquiao. The judges were kind of all over the place. The split decision was razor thin. Then there was a decision that was razor thin for Paquiao. Then there was one that was a wide margin for Paquiao. I had to watch this fight twice, and there's still some rounds that I think were kind of too close for me to call with my naked eye, but let's go ahead and try to talk about this fight. The first, I thought 2 rounds definitely was in favor of Manny. In the first round, they're going back and forth. I knew that Keith needed to be first and be aggressive. He was not. He was waiting, trying to get reads on Manny while Manny was getting comfortable. I knew Manny would be faster, and he was noticeably faster than Keith. He got started first. He outlanded him first in this first round. There was some nice body work here and a knockdown here from, I believe it was a straight left to the gut, followed by a right hook to the face, or it might be switched the other way around. But we saw a knockdown. Manny scored a knockdown in the first round of Keith Thurman. Keith it wasn't a devastating knockdown, but he knocked him down. Keith was looking for a second like, oh, he caught me, and he got back up. The second round, I believe, went to Manny as well. He outscored him. He controlled the pace. He controlled the tempo. He was the one controlling about to say the octagon, but the ring generalship. The third round is where I'm close on it. I thought Keith won the fourth. It seems like he was the one that got started. He was the one moving forward. He was working harder and actually started landing more. A lot of folks think that Keith won the third and fourth. I'm not sure on the third. I'm probably gonna have to watch this fight like 5 more times, to be quite frankly, to get sure on that third round. But I believe that Keith won the fourth. I think Manny came back, won the fifth. I think Keith won the sixth. So I think they were kind of trading a little there. As this fight gone on, Keith did get stronger because I think that Manny his energy started to wane a little bit, because at one point, he was dancing around Keith with these crazy angles, just boop bopping him up through the guard, all the way around him, just boop bopping him up through the guard, dancing around him. So that kind of waned a little bit. So you saw his footwork slow down. Manny started to slow down a bit, and Keith was able to start landing cleaner shots. But throughout this entire fight, Manny was the one that landed the more devastating shots and the cleaner shots. Although I believe in stats that Keith actually won the stat game. Manny also, I believe, drew blood on Keith as well. As the fight went on, I believe that Keith won I believe it was the 8th and 9th, but then he let Manny come back and steal the 10th from him. I believe every time Keith did some damage, instead of following through with the momentum, I don't want to say he allowed Manny to get the momentum back, but that's what happened. Keith would land a couple of good shots, knock Manny up against the ropes, and then Manny would just kind of burst off from the ropes and fight his way back and land some shots and beat Keith off of him. And then vice versa, when Manny would land shots, Keith didn't beat Manny off of him. You see what I'm saying? So Manny was able to answer back clearly, definitively when Keith landed shots, and Keith did not answer back as definitively when Manny landed flurries and shots. So the momentum changes, who controlled the energy, pressed the pace, all of these things I think were won by Manny, which helped him to win this match, even though I believe on stats he did not win the stat game. Power punches he did, things of that nature. So I agree with the judgment. As far as my actual round count, who won how many rounds, I'm unclear. A lot of the rounds were very close for me. Keith did better as the fight went on. Let me know what you thought about this fight. If you thought he won, if you thought Keith actually won, if you thought Manny won, what you had it, 111 or 118, whatever. What did you have the rounds and why? And what rounds were close for you? All of that, any injury updates, of course, on all of these fighters on both events here. Let me know how you did on all of your picks. Again, if you didn't see the fights, go back and look them up because they were great fights on both events. All right. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I have 1-minute prediction videos like I did all of these predictions on Twitter and Instagram. Gotta follow me everywhere. Facebook, I'm on Snapchat now. Subscribe, like, talk to me, take care. Goodbye.